In 2013, we gambled £330,000 and we lost. And here's what we learned from that mistake. Welcome back, guys. My name is Malky Purewal, one half of Savoys Properties. We've actually been in the industry now for 24 years, specializing in buy-to-let, commercial, residential, and HMOs. In 2013, the government actually came out with some new permitted development rights, allowing you to change commercial offices, which are class B1A, to residential use, class C3, via one simple prior approval application. We ended up doing our first site in 2013. We took basically an office which was worth 350,000, changed it to 5 self-contained flats ranging from studios to 2-bedroom apartments, and made a £500,000 uplift. Now, on the back of this, we were so excited with this opportunity that we've come across. We ended up finding another office that was advertised online, agreed to purchase it for £330,000 and decided to go down the same planning route with a prior approval application. Now, when we purchased this site, it was advertised by the agent as offices. When we put our planning application in, which was a prior approval application, the council failed it because they said the site is more warehouse than an office. So in that case, it would have been B1, not B1A, and that small technicality meant our planning application ended up failing. So we had a couple of options at this point. We either cut our losses, chuck this into auction, or we go down the appeal route. Now, for us to appeal it, we needed to show that it had established use for the past 10 years as an office. Now, as we already purchased the site, the seller wasn't keen to work with us because now he's got his money, he's moved on, and he didn't really care about the planning process for us. So we're on a bridging loan, it's costing us money each and every day. So we decided the best thing to actually do is cut our losses. We put it into auction. It actually sold for 290,000, obviously £40,000 less than the £330,000 price tag that we paid. And that was a £40,000 loss. But we didn't take it as a loss. We thought, okay, look, we've actually lost money here, but you pay for education. That's going to be our education. Let's ensure this never happens again. Now, how do we do that? Well, when we looked at each site afterwards as an office, we ensured that it had B1A status. So this may be with the VOA by us contacting the local council to ensure this was the case. We also then got stat decks from each seller saying that the building had been 10 years established use as an office, so B1A. And that way, when we put in an application, we can actually provide this evidence to supplement our prior approval process. This actually increased the certainty of the application being approved. And from 2013 to now, we had 0 applications that ended up failing on the question of the use class. What's actually even better is, since 2021, the government's actually amalgamated a lot of these use classes like A1, A2, A3, B1A, B1, and so on into one use class, which is Class E. With Class MA, it actually makes it a lot easier now for you to repurpose a lot of this defunct commercial site into residential use. And it's never been easier to actually get involved in this strategy. Obviously, there's certain elements that you need to ensure that you meet, and you may need to get some specialist reports for this. This could be down to noise assessments, transport assessments. If it's basically hasn't got the adequate parking spaces, you may need to show that it's close to trains, bus routes, you've got cycle provision, which can actually compensate for any lack of parking that you may actually have on site. And the great thing is, there's so many of these sites up and down the country that are available, and all you literally need to do is walk your patch. What I mean walk your patch, this is basically going into the areas that you're interested in investing in, and I would just literally just go for a walk around the block, up and down the high street, off some of these main parades onto sort of secondary and tertiary parades, and look for opportunities that you may typically drive past on a daily basis, and you may see the opportunities there. This could be from boarded up windows, newspapers covering a shop front, or basically the building falling into a little bit disrepair, showing there's an opportunity for the seller to actually get rid of this site because it's obviously costing them money. Now, here's what you should actually take from this video when watching this. Firstly is, don't take anything for granted. What do I mean by that? If someone says the used class is class E, for example, in today's day and age, and make sure your solicitor ensures that's the case, make sure the council actually confirm that's the case, and don't just take someone's word for it. Make sure you have something in writing to actually back that up. These cases will save you tens of thousands of pounds, and in some cases hundreds of thousands of pounds, and can give you a massive uplift on the back end. The second point will be always have a fallback option. Just because you've taken a loss doesn't mean you've lost. Now, what do I mean by that? If you look at most entrepreneurs, whether it be Richard Branson to Alan Sugar, or even Donald Trump, you'll see during their career they've actually lost a lot of money, but they've actually used that as a lesson, and they've come back and learned from this and ended up making more money. So all you basically need to do is have a positive mindset when it comes down to property. Ensure that you're always constantly learning. Don't be arrogant when it comes down to this whole process. Ensure that you humble yourself when you're going through this learning process. And if you do take that loss, learn from it and move on, and I promise you won't regret it. Now, that £40,000 mistake has actually gone on to make us over 7 figures multiple times. You only have to look at some of the awards that we've won, going from the Property Investor Awards, where we won Commercial Property Deal of the Year 2020, to some of the awards that we won at the International Property Awards. So those losses doesn't necessarily have to be the end of your losses. You know, they could be the board for you guys to pivot from. Now we're back each and every month with the Elevate series powered by Shawbrook Bank. Shawbrook's one of the biggest challenger banks that are out there. If you're serious about property, you've probably used them at some point during your journey, or you're probably likely to be using these guys. We're back with them in the City of London, opposite the Gherkin, some modern offices, and we're touching on relevant topics each and every month. In addition, we actually have a free Savoys community. We have over 1,200 members a part of this community. You can ask us questions, you can ask members of the group questions, and it's a great place to actually learn. It's completely free. All the details are in the description. We hope to see you back next week.